The Rise of the Dictators: An Introduction to the Changes of Europe After World War I. In the years before and after the Great War, people began to change the way they looked at the world around them. Between 1907 and 1915, Albert Einstein developed the theory of relativity, which stated that space and time may change in relation to an object moving near the speed of light, or 186,000 miles per second. Austrian Dr. Sigmund Freud believed that much of what human beings did was based on what was in their unconscious mind, which was kept hidden from their conscious self. Writer Gertrude Stein is credited with calling the soldiers who were killed and wounded in World War I as the lost generation, a term which was quickly applied to a writing style, with writers such as Ernest Hemingway, F. Scott Fitzgerald, among others, being part of that group. Many writers used the style of existentialism, which was a belief that too much emphasis was being placed on reason, democracy, and progress, as opposed to emotion and instinct. Into all of this confusion and change came the need to rebuild Europe after the Great War. Some countries had been left untouched physically by the war, but the loss of men mentally and physically, that lost generation that Gertrude Stein had talked about, affected all nations. New countries that had gained their independence as a result of the Treaty of Versailles, which ended the war, struggled with their new status. With so many different political groups inside their countries, they were forced to set up coalition governments. These governments were set up based on temporary agreements between these political groups to make the government function. Once the groups no longer agreed on the important issues of the day, the government was forced to disband and new elections held to create a new government. In order to get around this constant change in government, individuals stepped forward to fill the power vacuum and took all of the power for themselves. These dictators allowed no criticism of their policies and claimed absolute authority over the lives of their citizens. They established totalitarian regimes in which the government was everything and the individual was nothing. In the Soviet Union, Joseph Stalin, who wanted the new Soviet Union to be a major player on the world stage, used collective farms, censorship, and propaganda as a way to control his people. As we will see, individual leaders in Germany, Italy, and Japan all felt that they had been disrespected by the winning nations in World War I and the League of Nations, and worked throughout the 1930s to be seen as a force to be reckoned with. In the 1930s, all of these nations and the rest of the world would be hit with a worldwide depression. The Great Depression would force the governments of the world to respond in ways that they had never been prepared for, and allowed these dictators to gain even more power and put the world in jeopardy of going to war again.